The world stood still on June 25th, 2009. News flashed across screens. Michael Jackson, the king of pop, was dead. At 50, his life of music, dance, and controversy was over. He was found unresponsive in his Los Angeles home. Fans wept openly, their grief echoing the disbelief of a world. The shy boy from Gary, Indiana, who became a global icon, was gone. From New York to Africa, the world mourned. His music now carried a bittersweet melody of remembrance. The king, who had moonwalked into their hearts, was gone. The circumstances surrounding his death were shrouded in mystery. How could a man on the verge of a triumphant comeback be gone so soon? His death marked the end of an era and the beginning of a mystery. The king of pop was gone, leaving behind a void impossible to fill. The outpouring of grief was immediate and immense. Fans gathered in impromptu vigils from his childhood home to Neverland Ranch. They laid flowers, lit candles, and danced to his music. The world mourned with them, united in their grief. News channels provided non-stop coverage. Experts analyzed his career and the circumstances of his passing. His music skyrocketed to the top of the charts. The world couldn't get enough of Michael Jackson, even in death. Amidst the mourning, questions lingered. Rumors swirled, whispers of drugs and foul play. The official cause of death, cardiac arrest, did little to quell suspicion. The circumstances were too sudden, too shrouded in mystery. Michael Jackson, who defied gravity with his dance moves, left the world grappling for an explanation. The Los Angeles Police Department launched an investigation. Dr. Conrad Murray became a central figure, his actions scrutinized. The world watched, waited, and mourned, united by a shared loss. Dr. Conrad Murray, a cardiologist hired to oversee Michael Jackson's health as he prepared for his comeback tour, became a focal point of the investigation. He had been with Jackson in the final hours, administering medication before his death. Reports emerged of a frantic 911 call made from Jackson's home, raising questions about the timeline of events and the medical care provided. The spotlight on Murray intensified as details of Jackson's reliance on prescription drugs surfaced. The world learned of his struggles with insomnia and pain and the potent medications used to manage his conditions. Allegations of medical negligence and overprescription began to circulate, casting a shadow over Murray and raising suspicions about his role in Jackson's demise. The investigation honed in on the powerful anesthetic Propofol found in Jackson's system. Propofol, typically used in surgical settings, raised red flags among medical experts who questioned its appropriateness for treating insomnia. The investigation sought to determine how Jackson had obtained the drug, in what doses it had been administered, and whether its use had contributed to his death. As the investigation progressed, the line between medical treatment and potential wrongdoing became increasingly blurred. The world watched as the investigation unfolded, grappling with the possibility that the king of pop's death was not a tragic accident, but a preventable tragedy fueled by a lethal cocktail of drugs and questionable medical practices. From the moment news of Michael Jackson's death broke, the world watched his family. Their grief, raw and public, played out on television screens. Whispers of family discord and suspicion added another layer to the unfolding drama. Joe Jackson openly voiced doubts about the circumstances surrounding Michael's death. He accused unnamed individuals of contributing to his son's demise. These allegations were met with mixed reactions. Some saw Joe's accusations as a grieving father lashing out. Others wondered if his words held true, if his Section 2, the shadow of greed, business associates under scrutiny. Michael Jackson's immense fame attracted advisors and business partners, all vying for a piece of the king of pop. Investigators delved into Michael's financial dealings, suspecting those who stood to gain from his death. Millions were at stake, including earnings from his comeback tour and music catalog. Tome, Michael's manager, surfaced repeatedly in the investigation. Tome, with a checkered past, had control of Jackson's affairs during a tumultuous period. Known for aggressive tactics, Tome had a tight grip on Michael's finances. Some questioned if Tome pushed Michael too hard for the This Is It tour. AEG Live, the concert promoter, also attracted scrutiny. AEG had invested heavily in Jackson's comeback, and his death threatened their plans. Questions arose about the pressure on Jackson to perform and the adequacy of his medical care. The investigation explored whether financial motives played a role in Jackson's demise. Had he been exploited by those entrusted with his care and fortune? The line between business and personal relationships was often blurred in Jackson's world. Section 3, the price of fame, stalkers and obsessive fans. Michael Jackson's life was lived under a microscope, his every move scrutinized and often sensationalized by the media. His fame attracted obsessive fans and individuals with darker intentions. Authorities explored if Jackson's death was the act of a stalker. Jackson had been the target of numerous threats and harassment incidents. His secluded lifestyle made him vulnerable. Reports of security breaches and threatening letters were not uncommon. The investigation sought to determine if past threats had escalated. Jackson's fame spawned a subculture of obsessive fans. Some fans blurred the lines between admiration and delusion. These individuals often believed they had a special connection with the star. The possibility that a lone individual harbored violent fantasies could not be ruled out. The investigation had to consider the dangers of his extraordinary fame. Was his death a tragic consequence of a life lived in the public eye? Section 4, the Neverland Whispers, lingering questions about the past. Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch, a sprawling fantasy land built to recapture his lost childhood, became a symbol of both his success and his eccentricities. It was also the location where allegations of child sexual abuse had surfaced years earlier, casting a long shadow over Jackson's legacy. While he was acquitted of all charges in 2005, the scandal left an indelible mark on his reputation and fueled speculation that his death might be connected to those dark chapters in his past. Rumors persisted that individuals connected to the abuse allegations might seek revenge or silence Jackson permanently. The investigation, while focused on the immediate circumstances surrounding his death, could not ignore the possibility that events from his past had come back to haunt him. Were there individuals who still harbored resentment? Individuals who might have seen an opportunity to take matters into their own hands. The investigation also revisited the financial settlements Jackson had reached with some of his accusers. These settlements, while legally binding, did little to quell the rumors and speculation. Some believed that Jackson had paid to silence his accusers and that those individuals might still pose a threat either directly or through their connections. The specter of Neverland loomed large over the investigation, a reminder of the complexities of Jackson's life and the enduring impact of the allegations against him. While the abuse case was officially closed, the questions lingered, adding another layer of intrigue to the mystery surrounding his death. Section 5, a toxic cocktail, the Propofol factor. The investigation into Michael Jackson's death focused on the lethal cocktail of drugs in his system. Propofol, a powerful anesthetic, emerged as a key factor. Administered by Dr. Conrad Murray, it was meant to help Jackson sleep. Its use outside a hospital raised serious concerns. Propofol carries significant risks, including respiratory depression and cardiac arrest. The investigation sought to determine why Murray used such a dangerous drug. The repeated administration suggested a dangerous dependency. The presence of Propofol painted a picture of a desperate attempt to find sleep. The trial of Conrad Murray, justice on stage. The death of Michael Jackson sent shockwaves through the world, but the epicenter was a Los Angeles courtroom. Dr. Conrad Murray was charged with involuntary manslaughter, and the trial became a media sensation, a public dissection of the final hours of a global icon. Fans and reporters camped outside the courthouse, eager for any glimpse into the proceedings. The prosecution aimed to prove Murray's negligence, while the defense fought to protect their client. At the heart of the case was Propofol, the powerful anesthetic found in Jackson's system. The trial was a spectacle, a battle for justice on stage. Section 2, a mountain of evidence. The prosecution's case. The prosecution built a methodical case against Conrad Murray, presenting a mountain of evidence designed to prove his guilt. They called upon medical experts who testified to the dangers of Propofol, especially when administered outside a controlled medical setting. They presented evidence of Murray's improper training in the use of the drug, highlighting his lack of qualifications for managing its potential side effects. The prosecution meticulously reconstructed the timeline of events leading up to Jackson's death, relying on phone records, witness testimony, and medical documentation. Section 3, a doctor on trial, the defense's strategy. Facing a formidable case against their client, Conrad Murray's defense team mounted a vigorous defense. They challenged the prosecution's narrative, portraying Murray as a compassionate doctor who had developed a close bond with his famous patient. They argued that Murray was unaware of the full extent of Jackson's drug dependency and had been misled by the singer about his use of substances. The defense presented their own medical experts who testified that Jackson's death could have been the result of self-administration of Propofol, a theory that hinged on the singer's desperation for sleep and his familiarity with the drug. Section 4, guilty as charged, the verdict and sentencing. After weeks of intense testimony, dramatic courtroom confrontations, and relentless media scrutiny, the Conrad Murray trial reached its climax. The jury, tasked with weighing the evidence and rendering a verdict, deliberated for days. Their every move scrutinized by a world waiting to see if justice would be served. The tension in the courtroom was palpable as the foreman rose to deliver the jury's decision: guilty. Section 5, A Tainted Legacy, Conrad Murray's fate. The guilty verdict and subsequent prison sentence marked a dramatic fall from grace for Conrad Murray. Once a respected cardiologist with a thriving practice, he became a symbol of medical arrogance and the deadly consequences of prescription drug abuse. His name, forever linked to Michael Jackson's death, would be etched in history as the doctor who failed to save the King of Pop. Murray, however, maintained his innocence, claiming he was a scapegoat in a vast conspiracy to exploit and ultimately eliminate Michael Jackson. The death of Michael Jackson was not just a personal tragedy, it was a global media event. The news spread like wildfire, igniting a frenzy of coverage that dominated headlines, airwaves, and internet forums. News channels provided nonstop coverage, dissecting every detail of Jackson's life and death, from his meteoric rise to fame to the controversies that plagued his later years. The media, always hungry for a captivating story, found a feast in the death of the King of Pop. Jackson's life, a blend of extraordinary talent, personal struggles, and relentless public scrutiny, provided endless fodder for analysis, speculation, and sensationalism. Conrad Murray, thrust into the spotlight as the doctor accused of causing Michael Jackson's death, faced not only a criminal trial, but also a relentless trial by media. From the moment his name was linked to the investigation, Murray became a target of intense scrutiny. His every move tracked, photographed, and analyzed by a public eager for answers and hungry for someone to blame. The media, often quick to judge and even quicker to condemn, painted Murray as the villain in the Michael Jackson tragedy. Headlines screamed of his alleged negligence, his questionable medical practices, and his role in enabling Jackson's dependence on dangerous drugs. His image, broadcast around the world, became synonymous with medical malpractice and the tragic consequences of celebrity worship. The death of Michael Jackson, shrouded in mystery and fueled by allegations of drug abuse, medical negligence, and shadowy figures lurking in the background, provided fertile ground for conspiracy theories. As the official investigation unfolded, a parallel narrative emerged, one in which Jackson was not a victim of his own demons, but a target of powerful forces who wanted him silenced. Some theories pointed to Jackson's immense wealth and the complex web of financial dealings that characterized his later years. They suggested that unscrupulous business associates, eager to gain control of his music catalog and future earnings, had orchestrated his demise. Others whispered of shadowy figures in the music industry, threatened by Jackson's enduring popularity and determined to eliminate a rival. Despite the controversy surrounding his death and the lingering questions about what truly transpired, Michael Jackson's legacy as a musical icon remained largely intact. His music, a soundtrack to generations, continued to resonate with fans worldwide, transcending language, culture, and the shadow of suspicion that hung over his final days. In the aftermath of his death, Jackson's album sales soared as fans sought solace and connection in his music. His videos, once groundbreaking for their artistry and innovation, became nostalgic reminders of his unparalleled talent and showmanship. Tributes poured in from fellow artists, celebrities, and world leaders, acknowledging Jackson's impact on music, dance, and popular culture. The conviction of Conrad Murray provided a measure of closure in the Michael Jackson death saga, but it did not answer all the questions that swirled around the tragic event. Despite the mountain of evidence presented at trial, the countless hours of analysis and speculation, and the public airing of Jackson's most private struggles, some mysteries remained unsolved, some loose ends left untied. Questions lingered about the extent to which Jackson's fame and fortune had contributed to his demise. Had the pressure to perform, the constant scrutiny of the media, and the relentless demands of his fans created an environment in which his descent into drug dependency was all but inevitable? Had those entrusted with his care and his finances failed to protect him, more concerned with profiting from his talent than with safeguarding his well-being? Michael Jackson's planned This Is It tour was more than just a series of concerts. It was a highly anticipated comeback, a chance for the King of Pop to reclaim his throne after years of personal struggles and public scrutiny had tarnished his image and diminished his star power. The tour, announced just months before his death, promised to be a spectacular event, a celebration of Jackson's musical legacy and a reminder of his unparalleled showmanship. The announcement of This Is It sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. Tickets sold out within hours, shattering box office records and generating a level of excitement rarely seen in the concert industry. Fans eager to witness Jackson's return to the stage traveled from around the globe, willing to pay exorbitant prices for a glimpse of their idol. A grueling schedule, rehearsals, and the price of perfection. Behind the scenes of the highly anticipated This Is It tour, a different story was unfolding. The relentless pressure to deliver a flawless performance took a toll on Michael Jackson's physical and mental state. The man who had once moved with effortless grace now appeared gaunt and fatigued. Rehearsals often stretched late into the night, pushing Jackson to his limits. The dance routines now seemed to exhaust him. Witnesses reported seeing Jackson trembling with fatigue and relying on pain medication. Concerns about his health were raised by his entourage, but the show had to go on. The pressure on Jackson was immense. He was not just the star of the show, he was the show. The success of This Is It rested entirely on his shoulders. The weight of expectation and fear of disappointing his fans created an unbearable strain. The rehearsals intended to prepare Jackson seemed to push him closer to the edge. His weight fluctuated dramatically, and his dependence on prescription drugs escalated. Those closest to him noticed a change in his demeanor, replaced by a quiet anxiety and a preoccupation with perfection. Behind the mask, glimpses of fragility and doubt. Despite the carefully crafted image of a revitalized Michael Jackson ready to reclaim his crown as the king of pop, glimpses of fragility and doubt peek through the carefully constructed facade. Behind the scenes of the This Is It Rehearsals. The man who had always seemed larger than life, almost superhuman in his talent and charisma, appeared increasingly vulnerable, a shadow of his former self. Witnesses reported seeing Jackson struggling to remember dance steps, his movements lacking their usual precision and power. His voice, once a soaring instrument capable of hitting impossibly high notes, now sounded thin and strained. There were moments when the mask slipped, when the fatigue, the pressure, and the toll of years of public scrutiny became too much to bear. In these unguarded moments, a different Michael Jackson emerged, one stripped of the glitter and the bravado, revealing a man grappling with self-doubt, insecurity, and the fear of failure. He confided in those he trusted, expressing his anxieties about the tour, his worries about his health, and his longing for a simpler life far from the spotlight's glare. These glimpses of vulnerability, however, were rarely captured by the cameras documenting the rehearsals for the This Is It documentary. The film, released posthumously, focused primarily on Jackson's creative process, his dedication to his craft, and his enduring love for his fans. The darker side of the story, the exhaustion, the fragility, and the mounting signs of trouble remained largely hidden from public view until after his death. A financial lifeline, the stakes of success, and the burden of debt. The This Is It tour was not just a creative endeavor for Michael Jackson, it was a financial lifeline. Years of lavish spending and legal battles had left him heavily in debt. The tour represented a chance to erase his debts and secure his financial future. The stakes were incredibly high. Jackson had invested millions in the production, aiming to surpass anything he had done before. Failure was not an option, both creatively and financially. The pressure to succeed was immense. The weight of his financial troubles weighed heavily on Jackson's mind. He confided in friends about his debts and fears of losing Neverland Ranch. The tour had become a matter of financial survival. The financial burden and grueling schedule created immense pressure. The man who once seemed invincible was now in a desperate struggle to regain his footing. The show must go on. The ethics of entertainment and the cost of a life. The death of Michael Jackson just weeks before his This Is It tour sparked a debate about the ethics of the entertainment industry. The grueling schedule, pressure to perform, and alleged role of prescription drugs raised questions about the industry's responsibility. Critics argued Jackson's death was a preventable tragedy, highlighting a system prioritizing profit over well-being. The This Is It tour became a symbol of the dark side of fame. His death serves as a cautionary tale about the pressures of a life in the public eye. The man behind the music. Remembering Michael, remember the man behind the music. Beyond the headlines and controversies, there was a human being who loved, laughed, and hurt. Michael Jackson was a son, a brother, a father, and a friend, an artist of unparalleled talent, redefining music, dance, and entertainment. His love for his family, especially his children, was constant. Despite the scrutiny, he sought to create a loving environment for his children, building Neverland Ranch for them to experience childhood joys. Deeply committed to his art, music and dance were his passions and means of expression. From Jackson 5 to his solo career, he captivated audiences worldwide. Remembering Michael means acknowledging his triumphs and struggles, recognizing he was human with vulnerabilities and insecurities. Michael Jackson's life and death serve as a stark reminder of the double-edged sword of fame. On the one hand, fame brought Jackson adoration, wealth, and opportunities that most people can only dream of. It allowed him to share his music with the world, to connect with millions of fans, and to leave an indelible mark on popular culture. His talent opened doors, shattered records, and made him a global icon. However, fame also came at a steep price. The constant scrutiny of the media, the relentless pressure to maintain his image, and the intrusion into his personal life took a toll on his mental and emotional well-being. The line between Michael Jackson, the performer, and Michael Jackson, the private individual, became blurred, leaving him with little space to breathe, to make mistakes, or to simply be himself. The relentless pursuit of perfection, fueled by the expectations of fans and the demands of the entertainment industry, contributed to Jackson's struggles with addiction and insomnia. The need to escape the pressures of his public persona, to find solace and sleep in a world that offered him little peace, ultimately led him down a dangerous path. His death, while tragic, sparked a necessary conversation about the responsibility we have as a society to protect those who entertain us, to recognize the humanity behind the carefully constructed images, and to acknowledge that fame, while seductive, can be a heavy burden to bear. The quest to understand what truly transpired in Michael Jackson's final days has been a long and winding road marked by conflicting accounts, unanswered questions, and a lingering sense that the complete story remains untold. The official investigation, culminating in the conviction of Conrad Murray, provided a measure of legal closure, but it did little to quell the doubts and suspicions that continued to surround Jackson's death. For some, the conviction of Murray was not enough. They believe that others, individuals in Jackson's inner circle, bear some responsibility for his demise. They point to the culture of enabling that allegedly surrounded Jackson, the failure of those closest to him to intervene, and the possibility that his death was a consequence of negligence, if not outright malice. Others find it difficult to reconcile the image of Jackson, the musical genius, with the portrait painted during the trial of a man battling addiction and surrounded by enablers. They cling to the belief that Jackson was exploited, manipulated, and ultimately betrayed by those he trusted, that his death was not merely a tragic accident, but a deliberate act orchestrated by forces seeking to profit from his demise. The search for closure, for a definitive answer to the question of who killed Michael Jackson, continues. It is a quest fueled by grief, fueled by a desire to hold someone accountable, and fueled by the enduring fascination with a life and death that captivated the world. Michael Jackson left behind a complex and contradictory legacy. He was a man of extraordinary talent and undeniable flaws, a global icon who both embraced and shunned the spotlight. His music, a testament to his creative genius, continues to inspire and entertain millions worldwide, transcending cultural boundaries and connecting generations through shared rhythms and melodies. However, the shadow of his death, the unanswered questions, and the lingering suspicions continue to color his legacy. The allegations of child sexual abuse, though never proven in a court of law, continue to haunt his memory, casting a pall over his achievements and fueling endless debates about his character. The challenge for those who seek to understand Michael Jackson, to reconcile the man with the myth, is to acknowledge both the light and the darkness, the triumphs and the tragedies that shaped his life. It is to recognize that his story, like all human stories, is a tapestry woven from complex threads of joy and sorrow, love and loss, success and failure. His legacy is not defined solely by his musical achievements or by the controversies that surrounded him. It is a reflection of the profound impact he had on popular culture, the way he challenged musical boundaries, redefined dance, and inspired generations of artists. It is a legacy that continues to evolve as we grapple with the complexities of his life and death, searching for meaning in the music and the memories he left behind. Years after his death, the question of who killed Michael Jackson remains a subject of debate and speculation. While the official investigation pointed to Conrad Murray's negligence, many unanswered questions linger. We know Jackson died from a lethal dose of Propofol administered by Murray. Jackson battled insomnia and relied on prescription drugs to cope with his life and career. His death was a tragedy, a loss felt by millions worldwide. We don't know the full extent to which Jackson's fame and fortune contributed to his demise, and we may never know the full truth about what transpired in those final hours before his death. The legacy of Michael Jackson, in all its complexity and contradiction, endures. So, who do you think killed Michael Jackson? Please share your thoughts in the comment section, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Diving into Life with Augustus, for more amazing content.